Hi, I'm Gordon, the regular host of Life of Die, and thank you for joining me for the commentary video for my collection of epic squats. The first thing to say is that my good friend Simon Fearn painted this collection and that it's his band Ashes of Angels who provide the soundtrack. Please look him up on YouTube and other social media, and please give them a subscription or a follow wherever you see them. In part 1 here I thought I'd talk a little about each of the units shown. Kicking things off is the Ironbreaker robot company. The robots provide decent firepower, but they will end up on programmed orders if their command vehicle is destroyed. Fortunately, that is a super heavy vehicle, so it's not that easy to take it down. The Grand Battery isn't something that I take that often, as I don't find the mole mortars and third guns that effective personally, but if you're someone who wants a lot of Praetorians in your force, both this and the robot company are a good cost-effective way to build in those options. Speaking of Praetorians, the Ironbreaker company brings a Leviathan to the battle. The Leviathan isn't as powerful as a Colossus or Cyclops, but it still carries a formidable amount of firepower. The company also brings warriors and 2 squads of berserkers, the squat equivalents of tactical and assault troops respectively. The Warrior Brotherhood does not have the Leviathan, but brings you 1 unit of warriors, 1 unit of berserkers, and the amazing Thunderers. Thunderers are basically the same as Marine Devastators, but they have an extra attack dice, meaning a squad of them deals out a huge 15 attack dice. I love them. I haven't tried out the mole or termite detachments, mostly because I always regarded such units as potential game breakers in 2nd edition and in the epic. But now that we're using Legions Imperialis core rules, which do not allow deep striking units to emerge in turn 1, I think they should work a lot better. Certainly I've always loved the idea of them, and the miniatures for the moles and termites more than how I appreciated them operating on the table. The Guild Biker Company is pretty much ever present in my armies, and with a +4 CAF, they are probably my favourite cavalry company anywhere in Epic. Don't forget that the Trikes multi-melters are really powerful as well, even if they are a little limited in range. So I would say it's a mistake to only use the Trikes as close combat troops alone. Next up is a Grand Warlord and some Rhinos. The Warlord is fine, but I do think you can do a little better for the points. Rhinos, as ever, do provide much needed transports to the squad's troops. The Iron Eagle Gyrocopter Wing is another big favourite of mine, as I've always loved these miniatures. They are incredibly fast moving, they can make pop-up attacks, and they have really decent firepower. The main downside to them is they're a little brittle, so you definitely want to keep them behind cover and make use of those pop-up attacks. Possibly the most iconic miniature for the squats is the Land Train. When taken with the extra battle cars, it has a crazy amount of firepower. The big downside I would say is that it's a bit ponderous, but it does have void shields protecting it. So getting into some new net epic additions, and these are Plasma Blast miniatures. The Iron Shield tanks can transport troops, and they have, reasonable firepower with a decent main weapon and 4 heavy bolters, which are perfect for thinning out enemy troops. The Iron Hammer vehicles are very close to Land Raiders in their loadouts and stats, but although they cannot carry troops, their turreted Thunderer with a -3 TSM makes them even more powerful than the much feared Land Raiders. Last of the net epic additions are the Hearthlords. These super heavies have an accurate plasma laser with a mighty -3 TSM, making them something akin to the likes of Shadow Swords or Bane Blades. Now we see some of my favourites here, the mighty Colossus and Cyclops Praetorians. I love the details Simon has put in these, and I especially love those freehand unique insignias on the Colossi. Note that their spotters also have the same insignia on their jets, so that it's clear during play which gyrocopter belongs to which Colossus. The Colossus itself is the more expensive of the two and brings an incredible amount of firepower to your force, as it has a Thunderer, 8 battle cannons, 4 plasma missiles, and the awesome Doomsday Cannon. The Cyclops is a little cheaper and at first glance seems to be a lot less powerful than the Colossus, but the true power of the Cyclops is in its Hell Fury cannon. Basically, one hit from this weapon is highly likely to annihilate an unshielded Titan. Next up are the Overlord armoured airships, which form the Air Attack Corps. They have a formidable amount of firepower, capable of thinning out infantry and destroying tanks. They're extremely tough to destroy as well, and that ability to soak up incoming fire from enemy forces can often provide cover for the squat ground forces. Completing the army are the Goliath super heavy cannons. They are capable of destroying pretty much anything that gets in their blast radius, ignoring cover and destroying buildings. So having looked at some of the miniatures up close, it's time to see the whole lot on the tabletop. I can't tell you how happy this made me. I always loved looking at Games Workshop's setups from the boxes, and pages of White Dwarf, and I did my best to recreate that look in the tabletop here. Admittedly, they would not have crammed as many miniatures onto the table as this, but it would have felt like a crime not to put the full collection onto the table, especially because I wanted to honour Simon's work here. Regular Life of Die fans will have seen other videos on my channel featuring Simon's work as he painted up all of the miniatures for my 2000 AD games, as well as the frankly incredible Space Hulk set that we own. But both myself and Simon have been Epic fans since the glory days of the 90s, so it was always intended that he would turn his talent to my collection eventually. I'd always wanted my miniatures to be painted to a high standard, and in particular I always wanted them to have a cohesive basing scheme. It was because of that that we started with the squats. The squats were the one force I had where basing material had been applied to most of the minis, as the army was one I'd bought from eBay. The only problem was that we could not source any basing material that matched what was already there in the collection. After quite a few false starts, Simon found some basing material that was fine enough for the bases, but the colour was way off. Enter Simon's friend Ben Harrison, who did a phenomenal job in putting the basing materials through several paint processes and drying out the materials in between. It was absolutely painstaking work, and I'm so grateful to him for his work in getting the basing material to actually work, because for a while I was pretty convinced that it wouldn't be possible. But what was great is that once the job was done, there is so much of it that all my armies can now be upgraded. Marines, Eldar, Orcs, Imperial Guard, Chaos and Tyranids. So thanks again, Ben, I really appreciated it. With a brief to paint an army with a cohesive colour scheme fit for the pages of White Dwarf, there was a lot of pressure on Simon, but boy did he deliver. More or less everything you see on the table here, he repainted or enhanced. It was a massive undertaking, a huge amount of work, and his effort paid off because, well, it speaks for itself. My teenage self would have been beside himself, thinking that one day I'd own the collection I always wanted and it would always look as great as I always imagined it. Speaking of those teenage years, and due to a limited disposable income, my Epic collection consisted mainly of everything that used to get in the plastic box sets. Because I couldn't afford the metal minis, the main forces we used to play were Marines, Eldar and Squats, because you could field fairly decent armies with what you got in those boxes. But it did lead to one of my friends having to build crude milliput versions of all of the Praetorians. Also, I was never any good at painting and never had the patience really to want to do it. So when I think back to that unpainted collection of squats with boxy proxies with little detail, and then look at the collection I own now, I really have come a long way from such humble beginnings, and I owe it all to Simon's incredible work. A fair question some viewers may be asking themselves is how often I'm likely to play a game with all of these miniatures. And the short answer is I'm probably never going to have them all on the table at once, as you see here. Am I ever likely to field 2 land trains in a game, or all of the Praetorians? Probably not. But what this army allows me is the freedom to take pretty much anything I like from the Scots army lists. In years gone by, I actually had 2 Iron Eagle gyrocopter wings, 2 air attack corps, and a 3rd guild biker company. I realised that there was never any prospect really that I would need all of these, so I sold quite a few of them on eBay, hoping that they'd go to a home where they might be put to good use. The land trains and Praetorians I will likely rotate so they all get a run out, and I do like to hold on to those minis because one day, maybe, I might just fight a mega battle. No promises on that one though. Just to mention also, for anyone that may have missed it a few years back, myself and my regular Epic opponent Craig made a series of podcasts. Each episode focused on a different force, and we covered Space Marines, Eldar, Orcs, Imperial Guard, Chaos, Tyranids, and of course the Squats. In the episodes we created army lists for 2, 3, 4 and 5,000 point armies, and we discussed all of our favourite formations and the reasons why we made the choices that we did. It was a productive way to spend lockdown, and if you're looking for some tips about what to take and how to play squats in either 2nd edition or Net Epic, you can find those discussions in our dedicated Epic chat playlist on our channel. It's a series we still receive lovely comments about, and it's something that Craig and myself are very proud of, and so I hope you find it of interest. Those of you who watched the latest Legions Imperialis 40k battle report will of course have seen this squat army in action against their most hated enemies, the Orcs. If you haven't watched it already, I'll keep it spoiler free here. But it was Craig who fielded this magnificent new upgraded army. If you're wondering why I didn't take them myself, it's purely because Craig hadn't played the squats for some time, and it also turned out to be a bit of a win-win for me, because if I won the game as the Orcs, I'd be happy, but I'd have been equally pleased to see the Scots win. One thing I've suffered from in the past, and I'm looking at you, Corn, It's investing loads of time painting up minis only to be completely demoralised when my forces were decimated. While I didn't paint this collection myself, that thing of your brand new painted minis being destroyed always stings a bit, so at least on this occasion I wouldn't be too upset if I managed to destroy any at all. So again, no spoilers. So thanks for watching this video, and watch out for more videos like this in the coming months and years as Simon works his way through my collection and brings it up to the standard that I've always wanted. So thanks for watching, and until next time, keep on living the life of Die.